He has confirmed that John Calipari and Arkansas will visit Rupp Arena next season. It'll be Arkansas at Kentucky, date and time TBD.
Yep.
Is Cal going to be cheered like Bruce Pearl was in his first trip back to Tennessee? Or is this going to be ugly like Chris Beard back at Texas Tech, Ed Cooley back at Providence, or something in between? Do you have a sense for what it's going to look and feel like?
Well, Kentucky fans, find the show. Tweet us at CBB Podcast on Twitter if you aren't following already. Let us know what you think or what you plan on if you're going to be there. My guess would be more boos than cheers, but not the vitriol we saw with Beard at Tech, which was intense. And then I was there in person last season when Cooley returned to Providence. Also pretty intense with a couple of inappropriate chants mixed in there as well. But on the whole, by the end of that game, Providence won. It won in some flashy fashion. And I don't believe there was a single arrest, so it was considered a major victory for Greater Providence that didn't happen. But I think you're going to get a real mixed bag there. Both, obviously the biggest one will be when he's introduced and all that. And Cal will, and we'll see where the teams are, by the way, when this happens. The intriguing thing is going to be, when do they schedule this game? Do they try and put it in February when Kentucky and Arkansas, where they're tracking, we're going to have a good idea? Or do they want to put this, in the first week, or I wouldn't think the first week, no shot, but week 2 or 3 of SEC play to kind of gin up some interest there in the league in January. So we'll see on that. And a little bummed that it's not home and home this year. Sometimes these leagues have very good reasons why these things don't break down and the forces are out of their control, so to speak. But if you're going to do this, the right decision got made. And I spoke to someone in the SEC on Monday about it. And they said, yes, give the people what they want. And that is certainly, it's way more compelling the first time Calipari faces Kentucky if he's going back to Rupp, as opposed to bringing the Wildcats into Bud Walton. So in absence of a home and home, you get one meeting, which adds to the urgency. And it'll be very interesting to see if either team is ranked, both teams are ranked, neither team is ranked, one versus the other is. But I don't think they're going to be overly kind, but I don't expect it to be too bad.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too bad. I don't know if it'll be overly kind, probably somewhere in the middle. But if Kentucky fans were like fired up to boo John Calipari and yell at John Calipari when he turns to Rupp Arena, I would just I would ask why, from an honest place. Like, why? What are you upset about? I thought this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, the difference between Chris Beard going back to Texas Tech and Ed Cooley going back to Providence and this would be Texas Tech fans didn't want Chris Beard to leave, especially for a rival. When he left, he broke their hearts, for lack of a better phrase. Same thing with Ed. Providence fans didn't want Ed Cooley to leave. So when he left, he broke their hearts. Kentucky fans cheered John Calipari leaving. They wanted this. They got what they wanted. So rather than look back at it like this guy left us, that's what Memphis fans do. If John Calipari was coaching in FedEx Forum next season, he would get booed. I mean, it would be vicious all these years later. But he did spend 15 years at Kentucky, won 6 SEC regular season titles, 6 SEC tournaments, 4 Final Fours, 1 national championship, made the Hall of Fame. It wasn't perfect. And in some ways it was disappointing, especially considering, the last 5 seasons, they never made it to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. But largely, to me, this feels like, why would you be mad at I'll just put it in human terms, the girlfriend that you broke up with? Like, you decided you didn't want her anymore, so she left. Why are you mad at her? It was your decision. And that's more or less what happened here. I know Kentucky fans will say, he left us, but he didn't want to leave you. He never imagined leaving you. He left because he could feel how badly the fans wanted something different. And his life had become not that pleasant. And so he didn't run to Fayetteville because he thought it was a better opportunity. It was just a better situation given the context of this very specific situation. And I don't know why you'd be mad at that guy for leaving you if you were the ones actually cheering, please get out the door.
Well, it was also, I think it was a little bit toxic both ways. And some of that was self-imposed by Calipari for not living up to his own standards. And so he does bear some of the blame on that. I think a factor in this, why the time we get to the game, like they'll announce when this game is being the date of it. We'll get that sometime over the summer. And then this is an SEC matchup. So it will be like prominently on ESPN. This will be the game day game and all that stuff. But 100% confident what you will see here in the weeks leading up to it. If not, the next time Mark Pope gets asked about it on record, like later this week, is he will encourage Kentucky's fan base, because he's got him in the palm of his hand at this moment, to give Calipari his flowers and to, cheer for him when he walks in, and then, cheer for the Wildcats and not against Calipari once the game's going on. So Pope's influence over Kentucky in year one. Now let's see if Kentucky under Pope, by the way, is in the spot of a 4 seed, or if it's trying to dodge being in the NIT at that moment when we actually get to the date of the game. But I also think that will be a factor there, and the fans just being so thankful and happy that they have someone not named Calipari there. I actually think if he is prominently vocal about not doing that, that could have an impact on the environment in the game once we get there.
And I would assume that Mark will deliver that message, if not this week, but at some point closer to the game. He's not a fight, he's not a fighter the way some other guys might be in this situation. I think he does respect, as a graduate of that school, I think he probably does genuinely respect what John Calipari did for his alma mater. And I would assume he's going to deliver that message to Kentucky fans. Whether they receive it or not, who knows? But I'd be surprised if he didn't deliver that message. And I do think that where are these programs when they meet might play a role in it as well. Like if Kentucky's struggling and John comes in with an Arkansas team ranked 3rd in the country, might be a little easier to yell at that guy. Why couldn't you do this for us? We'll get some of that. Either way, it'll be a fun scene. I love stuff like this. The games are always just the games. I've seen a million of those, but I love the scenes. And that's going to be a scene in Rupp Arena. Again, date and time to be determined.